Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wednesday Night NFL Review Preview with Joe Knows. I'm Joe Knows, or at least I go by the name Joe Knows. And tonight, we're going to be reviewing the NFL Week 5 games, those results, and we're going to be previewing the upcoming Week 6 games, where I'll be giving my predictions at the end of the show. So, all glad you can join me, or somehow eventually you watch this episode. If you're not watching it live, maybe you'll watch it tomorrow or the day after that. I just say thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us that 5-star Apple review. It helps us out a lot. Friendly reminder before we get into the content where you can find the show: Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Facebook, where we have two pages. One is Toilets to Titles, and the other is When a Family Breaks, which is really the page that's dedicated to us, the trading of sports memorabilia. But we run our show on that page as well. And last but not least, don't forget to go to patreon.com/toiletstotitles to learn how you can further support our show. And also, on August 1st of this year, we launched our new website, toiletstotitles.com. It's got all of our videos, articles, tons of fantasy football content, and NFL content as well. Check it out. You'll love it just like I do. And moving on here. Oh, and another friendly reminder. Following this show tonight is supposed to be Dollars to Deuces. It usually is tonight. It might actually wind up being tomorrow morning, but usually Wednesday night at around 10 o'clock is Dollars to Deuces with Rich and Nate, and that is weekly betting advice. So you can send any questions that you have through the chat, but it's some fantasy content as well, but a lot of it is weekly NFL betting advice. So check it out. I love that show. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, let's dive into our content, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. Last week's Thursday night game, the now 4-1 Rams defeated the now 2-3 Seahawks 26-17. Rams took care of business. Big story out of this game, of course, was that Russell Wilson injured his thumb. Not his thumb, excuse me. One of his fingers, or maybe two of his fingers, but he's got finger injuries, and so he's going to be out for a few weeks. Actually, Russell Wilson, and it's going to hurt the Seahawks. He's a fantastic quarterback. He drives that offense. He's everything about the Seahawks. Him and his really talented wide receiving core. Not crazy about the rest of the Seahawks. I think their defense stinks. I think their offensive line is a headache, and I'm not all that impressed with their running game either. So don't get me wrong. Any team loses their starting quarterback, especially of this caliber, it's going to hurt. But the Rams came in, took care of business. I thought the Seahawks were actually going to win straight up in this game since it was in Seattle. Maybe Russell getting injured had something to do with that too. But anyway, the Rams took care of business here. I want to give a shout out to Darrell Henderson, who I was never a big fan of. I've never been a fan of the Rams running back core, and including Cam Akers. To be honest, I was never a believer in these guys. But Darrell Henderson, running back for the Rams, is having a nice season. He put up something I think like 99 combined yards on the ground and in the air, and he had a touchdown as well. And he's having a nice season. So I want to give him props. So far, I'm proven wrong, and I'm glad I'm proven wrong. I want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to do well in life and succeed. So Darrell Henderson having a good game. Matthew Stafford had a really good game as well. He put up 365 yards and a passing touchdown. And Robert Woods had 150 yards, the Rams wide receiver. He had a monster game, 12 receptions, 150 yards. I'll just say this: you're probably not going to get that production from Woods again for like another 4 weeks. If you're into fantasy like I am, fantasy football, you probably know that this is a guy that'll make you pull your hair out because you expect big things from him. But he's really good for having a monster game like this, and then he'll kind of like disappear for the most part for like 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then he'll have another monster game. So anyway, Robert Woods did have a really great game, so kudos to him as well. Moving on to the Jets and Falcons play. They played in London, England, Sunday morning. The Falcons are now 2-3. They got the win. They defeated the now 1-4 Jets 27-20. The Jets, listen, I expected the Falcons to win this game, and I wasn't surprised by the results here. The Jets have a long, long way to go. The Falcons offense is actually pretty good. And I'll tell you, the Falcons offense was humming in the first half of that game. Cordarrelle Patterson was having having himself a great game. Matt Ryan was having a great game. Also, Pitts, the tight end for the Falcons, the rookie tight end, was having a great game too. So everything was clicking pretty well for the Falcons. Jets, made a bit of a comeback there in the second half. And listen, the Jets, they're not a good team right now, but they're a building team. They're a building team, and I think they're building the right way in terms of, they got their young quarterback now, and they do have they're building, I think, an impressive line. They got Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round this year, and last year they took Mekhi Becton, their left tackle. I don't think he's back from the injury list right now. I think he's still injured, but when the guy's on the field, he's a really good left tackle. So they've got their young quarterback. They're giving him an offensive line, and they're giving him weapons too. He needs better weapons. We haven't seen anything from Elijah Moore yet, who was their highly touted, rightfully so, highly touted wide receiver that they took in the top half of the second round this past draft, and we haven't seen anything from him. He's a rookie. Some rookies come along slower than others, especially when you're on a team that's not that good, like the Jets. But listen, the Jets are 1-4, same record as my crappy Giants. And but I think the Jets are building it right, and they had a nice little comeback there in the second half. And speaking of young quarterbacks, let's get to this. I want to check out the stats on Zach Wilson. All right, so it was only 19 for 32, 192 yards, no touchdowns, an interception. But in the second half there, he definitely played better. And he was he led the team down the field at the end of the game too. So there were some bright spots there, I thought. Really, nothing to write home about any of the Jets wide receivers. Let's check out the Falcons scoring line, not the scoring line, but their performance of some of their players. Matt Ryan, 342 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Cordarrelle Patterson put up 54 yards on the ground and 60 yards receiving. So he had well over 100 yards combined. Cordarrelle Patterson, man, what a rejuvenation for this guy's career. I am so friggin' happy for him. But he didn't get a touchdown this week, which is unfortunate because I have him on like 2 of my fantasy teams. But he put up well over 100 yards. Kyle Pitts had, I would assume, this is the best game of his young career. He had 9 receptions, 119 yards, and 1 touchdown. So, and he averaged 13.2 yards per reception. So really, really nice job there by Kyle Pitts. So, but anyway, let's move on to the next game, and that was the Packers and the Bengals. You know what, Bengals, man, Bengals fans, I'm really happy for you guys because you know, really normally when you're rebuilding this, you'd have really no business keeping it close to the Packers, but you did it. You got a great young quarterback. You have a great young wide receiving core. Love your wide receiving core. And they came to play, and they really took it to the Packers, who are now 4-1. Packers did hang on for the win there. It was close, 25-22. But Packers, like I predicted a few weeks ago, I remember everyone couldn't wait to crap on the Packers. After they got blown out by the Saints in New Orleans in Week 1, everyone crapping on Rodgers, crapping on the Packers. And I knew they were going to win the following week. And then after that, they were going to start going on a tear. And here they are. They're now 4-1. So I'm not surprised at all. The Packers are rolling. The Bengals, the young Cincinnati Bengals, you guys are having a good year. I'm rooting for you. You did a good job here in keeping pace with the Packers, and you almost pulled up the upset. Almost pulled it off there. So that was a heck of a game by the Bengals. Bengals are a young, exciting team, just getting better and better every week, and they're off to a good start, 3-2. That's what me and my fellow Giants fans were hoping with my Giants this year, but alas, it is not happening. Anyway, moving on to the next game, Vikings, who are now 2-3, defeated the 0-5 Lions, 19-17. I got to tell you, I think the 2021 Lions might be the best 0-5 team that I've ever seen because they play tough, man. I like that. Like I've harped on for the past few weeks, with each loss, the Lions have pretty much been in every single game. There was one game, I think it might have been week 2 or 3. I forgot who it was against, where it might have been the Ravens, where they were actually in it like the first half. They were playing really close, and then it was the second half where the opponent pulled away. It was a much better team, whoever it was. And but the Lions really, fought for as long as they could. And they're not nearly as talented as most other teams, but I like how the Lions rebuild is going. They almost got the win here against the divisional opponent. I thought this would be a very tough game. And I think, listen, Minnesota's got talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Minnesota doesn't have the defense that it used to have, but they definitely have a boatload of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And yet it was only a 19-17 game. Head coach Dan Campbell of the Lions is getting his Lions to come and play, his young Lions to come and play every single weekend. And I really like that. And again, I'm going to say it again, like I've been saying it every week. I like how the Lions are rebuilding. It seems like they're becoming a more physical team on the lines, on the offensive line and the defensive line. I think they're getting some good young talent there on both sides of the ball. The wide receiving core, as well as the secondary. And it's going to take some time, but I'll tell you, man, Dan Campbell's got them fighting, every single week. And it reminds me of Joe Judge last year. Joe Judge of the Giants got off to a really good start with the Giants, and they were like 1-5 or 1-6 to start off the season, really, really bad, but they were really in pretty much every single game. They were fighting to the end every single game, and that's what the Lions are doing here. And I think they're really headed in the right direction. 0-5, but I think they're headed in the right direction. And you know what? You know, with this rebuild that they really just kind of started last year, the Detroit Lions, they could use, yet another year of like really high draft picks. It matters. It matters. But Lions, I like what you're doing here. I really do. Moving on to the Steelers, who are now 2-3. They defeated the 3-2 Broncos. Well, the Broncos, who are now 3-2. Steelers won this game 27-19. I'll tell you, it's so funny with the Steelers. Came into the season, a lot of people were crapping on the Steelers, and I was saying, listen, the Steelers are such a well-run organization. They have such a great head coach in Mike Tomlin. I know Roethlisberger is older, but they still have weapons. They still have a really good defense. Roethlisberger is obviously older and he doesn't look good, but he's a very experienced, intelligent quarterback. Kind of like when Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl with the Broncos back in 2015 or whatever it was, like 5 or 6 years ago. And they have surrounded him with talent, but Steelers got off to a rough start this year, and to the point where even I got off the Steelers bandwagon last week. I was like, you know what? I can't go with them anymore. They really like Roethlisberger's had looked really bad. The offensive weapons they have, it's just not working out. Especially I thought with Roethlisberger, still being at quarterback, and yeah, they still have a good defense, but they got off to a 1-3 start, and I was off the Steelers train last week when I was making these picks, and I picked the Broncos if Bridgewater had played. I said that if Bridgewater's playing and if he's healthy, he's like, no ramifications from the concussion he had suffered a week or two ago, then I was picking the Broncos. He did play, and the Broncos lost. And really, it's like, listen, there's no, when the Steelers defense is playing the way they're capable of playing, there is no shame in losing to the Steelers. This team is an experienced team. They're well coached, and I'm not shocked in hindsight by the result, but just I have to admit, I had gotten off the Steelers train last week, and as soon as I get off, here they go and pick apart the Denver Broncos. So, but I think the Denver Broncos overall are having a very good season, and their fans should be really proud of the direction of that team. Okay, moving on. So the 4-1 Buccaneers, they're now 4-1. They defeated the now 1-4 Dolphins 45-17. That's not a shock, this result at all. It's a real shame what's going on with the Dolphins right now. It seems like ever since Tua went down, this team has just lost its mojo. And Tua wasn't looking like a great quarterback at all. I wasn't giving up on him just yet. He's still a very young quarterback, but still with him being there, the team was playing better overall. And ever since he's been out, it seems like the team is just, taking a nosedive. And I mean, listen, the Buccaneers are definitely a better team than they are. But 45-17, that one hurts. That one hurts. And we're not seeing what Jalen Waddle can do. I think like with a really good quarterback, I'm not saying an all-pro quarterback, but with a really good experienced NFL quarterback, I think Jalen Waddle would be having a monster year this year. I think he would be having a Jamar Chase type year as a rookie right now. So we're not really seeing what he's capable of. That kind of stinks because I love Jalen Waddle. But the Dolphins are kind of reeling right now, and I like their head coach Flores. So let's see what he can dial up. Over the next few weeks of this team, get the Dolphins back into contention. It's gonna be tough when you're 1-4. It's not the biggest hole at the beginning of the season, but when you don't have a really good quarterback, they've got Jacoby Brissett right now. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So I was expecting more from the Dolphins, but I think the QB situation's kind of scary right now. Moving on to the next game. The now 3-2 Saints defeated the 2-3 Washington football team 32-22. I should say 33-22. I was actually kind of surprised by this result, just because I think Washington overall has been playing pretty well. With Taylor Heineke, at the helm as quarterback. And I'd been saying that the Saints offense is smoke and mirrors. And I'll eat a little crow on that one because the Saints offense actually did play fine. Jameis Winston had a good, respectable game. I think he put up like something like 279 yards, which is good. And he put up a few touchdowns, but that was really like the first week he did it. All those other weeks when they put up like 8 touchdowns in two games combined, Jameis had like 300 yards combined passing in those 2 games. They were really putting up a lot of points because the defense was playing very well, getting turnovers and giving the Saints offense really good field position. So I was saying that it's like the Saints offense up to this point had like smoke and mirrors, but I got to eat a little crow here. They put up a good game. Alvin Kamara is still healthy, and as long as he's healthy, it's almost impossible to stop that guy. You can try to contain him. But you're not going to be able to stop that guy. He's an absolute monster. And the Saints took care of business 3-2. But I'll tell you, I'm still not a believer in the Saints. I'm really not a believer in the Saints. I think Sean Payton's a phenomenal head coach and a phenomenal play caller as an OC. But I'm just not buying into the Saints. I'm really not. Washington, I think they've got more game than this. I think they're better than this. They're 2-3. That's not bad. But I'll tell you, their defense is not what everyone thought it was coming in. And I actually wasn't, completely buying into the Washington defense. Did I say offense before? I was talking about the Washington defense. Everyone was expecting the Washington defense to be like this monster defense coming in. I wasn't really buying it, to be honest with you, coming in. They have a lot of potential, but I felt like they were still missing a few key parts, especially in the secondary. And I like the pick of Jamin Davis, who was their first round pick this year. I think he's going to wind up. I'm really not even sure how he's playing this year. Haven't really heard his name called, so he might not be playing well. I don't really know, but I still think the guy's young and he was raw. I do think Davis is eventually going to be a really, really good linebacker for Washington. I think it could be a pivotal piece for that defense. But Washington definitely has not the best secondary, and that's really their weakness. Also, Chase Young. Let's be honest. I think Chase Young is going to wind up being a monster, and he's going to have a great career. But he's not. He's not off to the greatest start. I think he actually played better. He played better last year than he's doing this year. He's having a very quiet year. It's Montez Sweat, his counterpart on the other side of the defensive line, that's having a much better year. But then again, Montez Sweat has like another year, like one more year under his belt than Chase Young does. So, but I think Chase Young's going to be fine, and I think Washington will eventually have, a monster pairing of defensive ends in both Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But and also just that D line in general is doing. They are doing well. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. I think they're pretty good against the run too. But they just, Washington, in the secondary, they're not very talented. So that's where the holes were. And those were the concerns I had for them coming in. Like I said, I wasn't really buying into how great the Washington defense was going to be this year. And so far, I'm being proven correctly. But I don't think they're too far away from making it an elite defense. They're not too far away from it. But I just don't think it's going to happen this year. But Washington's offense overall has been playing very well this year behind Taylor Heineke. And but this game, whatever. There's no shame in losing to the Saints. The Saints are a competent team, even though I'm not really buying into the Saints offense. But they are a competent team and they're a very well coached team. So Washington, they're still 2-3. That's not too bad. Let's move on to the next game. The Eagles, who are now 2-3, defeated the Panthers, who are 21-18. Now, I believe I picked in this game last week. I believe I took the Panthers straight up, but I took the Eagles with the points. And the Panthers are now, after starting off 3-0, the Panthers are now 3-2. Everyone was on the Panthers train, when they were 3-0. Like, everyone was just like pretty much putting them up there, like with the other elite teams. I wasn't going there. I think the Panthers are doing a good job, and they're completely trending in the right direction. Matt Rule, I think, is proving to be a quality NFL coach. I think the Panthers are coming along really nicely. They're turning out to be a very nice, well-balanced team. And Sam Darnold has absolutely rejuvenated his career in Carolina. And you're not going to win, every game, I guess, that you should win. But, Panthers lost 2 in a row. They lost last week, 2 weeks ago to the Cowboys. They're not in the Cowboys tier. Cowboys, I don't know if people recognize this yet or if they want to admit it. If maybe people are haters of the Cowboys, they don't want to admit it. the Cowboys this year are an elite team. They are right up there with the Buccaneers, who they went toe to toe with in the first week. They went toe to toe with the Chargers, who are an elite team in the AFC, and they defeated the Chargers as well in a really hard fought game. And and in the NFC, they're right up there with the Cowboys are up there with the Buccaneers, and I'll put the Cardinals up there now too, and they're up there with the Rams. And Dallas Cowboys are they're in that elite tier. The Panthers are yeah, I guess maybe the next tier below, but they have a little ways to go. They've got a little ways to go. But Panther fans, your team's doing well. But this shouldn't be a shock. And as much praise as the Panthers were getting, it seems like a lot of people, when the Eagles were 1-3, it seems like a lot of people were. It's funny. I remember when the Eagles got their first win against the Falcons, Week 1, and everyone was like on the Eagles, train. They're on the Eagles bandwagon. And after dropping to 1-3, it seemed like everyone was crapping on the Eagles. I think the Eagles are fine. I think their little mini rebuild or retooling or whatever you want to call it is actually going well. I think they're accumulating good weapons, and the Eagles are a tough team. This is a tough team, and I think Jalen Hurts is having a good year. I think he's looking like the best player in offense, along with Devonta Smith. I think Devonta Smith is actually having a nice year for the Eagles, and but I think Jalen Hurts is looking good actually. And but Eagles have a ways to go, but they're a tough team. This entire year so far, the Eagles, these Philadelphia Eagles, have not been backing down to anyone. So I was not shocked by the result of this game at all. So Panther fans, I think your team's doing great. You're going to get your fair share of wins this year. Your rebuild is going really well. You got a good future ahead of you. I also feel the same way for the Eagles. I think the Eagles are in really good shape. I think they are a talented team, and a lot of their best talent is young and it's still developing. But they're staying in games. They've got 2 wins. They're 2-3. That's not too bad. And I think the Eagles are doing very well. And the Eagles have next year. They have at least 2 first-round picks. They may have 3. They have at least 2. They may have 3. I don't recall, but Eagles have a ton of picks next year as well. So they're trending in the right direction as well. Let's move on to the Titans game. Okay, the Titans, who are now 3-2, took care of business against the Jaguars, who are now 0-5. It was 37-19, wasn't close. The Titans needed a game like this because the Titans looked like they were reeling. They've suffered a bunch of injuries over the past few weeks to their talented wide receiving core and AJ Brown, who can never stay healthy. I am now officially off the AJ Brown train. For the past season and a half, I loved AJ Brown. And when he's healthy, he looks like a top 5 wide receiver. He's just an absolute monster. And but he's just injured way too often. Definitely got off to a very bad start this year, AJ Brown. And Julio Jones has also been injured too. AJ Brown was back this game, and Julio Jones was still out. But Derrick Henry's still a man down in Tennessee. He's got to be my favorite running back in the NFL. I love that type of just that physical pounding running back, and that's what Derrick Henry is. The guy's a friggin' monster. And the Titans got this win. They kind of needed it. It seemed like they were reeling, or they were starting to reel. But they got this win against the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, I still think is getting better and better every week. Now let me go to the box score of this game over here. So Trevor Lawrence had a pretty good game. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence, 23 for 33, 273 yards. That's a good line. That's a good line. James Robinson, man, James Robinson, 18 carries for 149 yards, 1 touchdown. I love that guy. I remember at the beginning of this year or before the season started, it seemed like Robinson was going to be the forgotten man. At least that's how he's being talked about because they got Travis Etienne. And I thought I liked the Travis Etienne pickup, the draft. He was another first-round pick by the Jaguars this year. I liked it. So I think when he's healthy, he is going to be a nice weapon for them. But he should be playing in conjunction with James Robinson. Robinson, all along I thought should be kind of like the featured running back, and Travis Etienne could be like a nice complement to him, and they could complement each other very, very well. Yeah, Etienne is very good in the receiving game. I thought they'd play, like a nice two-headed monster there for Jacksonville. So, but Robinson with Etienne, being gone, is having a really nice year again. So monster game by him. Trevor Lawrence also added 28 yards on the ground as well. and a rushing touchdown. Good for him. Good for you, Trevor. Every week, Trevor's getting better and better. And of course, we shouldn't be doubted. We shouldn't be surprised by that. Derrick Henry, my man, 130 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns. Um, Absolutely incredible. I love Derrick Henry. I really do. And that was a Ryan Tannehill, man. Quiet season for this dude. 197 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, but definitely not the strong performances that he was providing the past 2 years. So AJ Brown only 38 yards, only 38 yards. So I don't know. Brown's been having a bad start to the season, and it could be, maybe he's still injured, and those are the results of injuries that he's out there, he's playing, but maybe he's far from 100%. But 3 receptions, 38 yards, just not good, man. Just not good at all for my man AJ Brown. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. What do we got over here? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? We're at Titans, Jaguars. What did I do over here? There we go. I'm sorry, people. I lost my place there. Okay, Patriots are now 2-3. They defeated the now 1-4 Texans 25-22. I got to give a shout out to my man Davis Mills, rookie quarterback for the Houston Texans. Houston Texans have had everything wrong going for them over the past year and a half. And Davis Mills, no one's expecting anything from this guy. He came in, he put up 3 touchdowns, almost took down the Patriots. And I thought the Patriots were going to, blow them out. I don't think the Patriots are a great team. I think their, talent level's very mediocre. I like Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is looking like a good pocket passing pro NFL quarterback. I like Mac Jones a lot. And you always have the great defensive mind of Bill Belichick to help even things out there. But the Texans came to play. Got to give him some credit there. Let me go into that box score for a second. Let me check that out there. I know Davis Mills had 3 touchdowns. Let me see. Yeah, he put up 3. Davis Mills, 21 for 29, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Wow. You know what's amazing about this too is that Bill Belichick pretty much destroys rookie quarterbacks, also young quarterbacks in general, like even quarterbacks in their second NFL year, but especially rookie quarterbacks get absolutely ripped apart. They'll throw 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He usually kills them. Davis Mills comes in here. No one's expecting anything from Davis Mills. He was not a highly touted quarterback coming out of last year's draft class, yet he goes 21 for 29, 312 yards, 3 passing touchdowns against the great Bill Belichick. Mac Jones had a nice game himself, 23 for 30, 231 yards. 231 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I'm just looking at, all right, Chris Moore, wide receiver for Houston. Chris Moore, 109 yards on 5 receptions and a touchdown. Very nice. Chris Conley, a monster game, 84 yards on 3 receptions, 1 touchdown. Very nice. Houston's rushing, they've got Mark Ingram, they've got Philip Lindsay, and they've got David Johnson. Really, all combined, they put up 67 yards. So it's been that way the entire year. Nothing sexy to point out from New England. Damien Harris. Well, Damien Harris had 58 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Looking to see if he did anything receiving. No, nothing for him. So really nothing great here. Jacoby Myers had a quiet game. Hunter Henry. Looks like he's taken over the number 1 tight end position from Jonnu Smith. Hunter Henry had 6 receptions, 75 yards, 1 touchdown. So not surprised at all. Hopefully Hunter Henry can stay healthy. That's the knock against Hunter Henry. Usually comes off the injured reserve, puts up a few big games, and then goes back on the injured reserve. So, but Hunter Henry had a very nice game. But I'll tell you, man, that Patriots receiving core, what a mishmash. What a mishmash. Hunter Henry led the receivers with 75 yards. That's just not good enough. It's great for Hunter Henry, but man, you guys need some real receivers over there in New England, let me tell you. Okay, let's move on to the next game. And we had the Bears. Justin Fields started. Justin Fields gets the win. Bears are now 3-2. They defeated the now 3-2 Raiders 20-9. I'll tell you, the Raiders, man. I'm not going to get into the whole John Gruden thing. I think you all know about it, like this stupid racist emails that he sent out like 10 years ago. He's gone. But the Raiders, man, I think they're I think they're ready to reel. I think they're ready to reel. And I know their special teams coach is now like the interim head coach for the Raiders, but losing 20-9 to the Bears, not good. I mean, the Bears are just, I don't think the Bears are a really good team at all. I'm not crazy about their offensive talent, and I think their defense is overrated. And I know the Raiders don't have the greatest weapons. They've got a nice core, a nice wide receiver core, but they don't really have that number one. That Henry Ruggs is not a number one, at least he's not now. Renfro is he's a nice wide receiver, but he's not a number one. He's not an alpha. He's not a big high production guy. And who else do they have over there? Really, like their best receiver has been Darren Waller, but Waller's having a pretty quiet year. I think just opposing defenses have finally smartened up and they're focusing on focusing their attention on Waller and trying to minimize the destruction that he can bring on them. So they're minimizing Waller's production, and that's the smart play. That really is. So this was to me a shocking result. Not so much that the Raiders lost, which I was surprised by because I do think they're a better team than the Bears. And Derek Carr has been having a fantastic year for the Raiders. But I'm surprised that the final result was 20-9, 20-9, 20-9. And let me check out that box score too. What exactly? Justin Fields. Derek Carr only put up 260. I'm sorry, he only put up 206 yards. Khalil Herbert, who I liked a lot, he led the rushing attack for the Bears, 75 yards on 18 carries. Damien Williams, also for the Bears, put up 64 yards on 16 carries. Very nice, very nice. So Justin Fields went 12 for 20, 111 yards, one touchdown, and he put up 4 yards on the ground. So Justin Fields really didn't do anything, to be honest with you. It looks like this is, really the Bears defense that showed up and shut down the Raiders, and Raiders just didn't perform well. Josh Jacobs was back, but he only had 48 yards on the ground with a touchdown. And Darren Waller only had 45 yards receiving. And Renfro, 56 yards. But like I said, Hunter Renfro is turning out to be a really nice receiver, but they need a real alpha. They need a number one. They really do. And until the Raiders can find that, you know, that it's they're gonna be hobbled until the Raiders can find like a true number one wide receiver. Hopefully in next year's draft, they're gonna have their serious limitations. So, but the Raiders overall are having a good year. But I was disappointed by that loss to the Bears. Okay, the 4-1 Chargers, the now 4-1 Chargers defeated the now 3-2 Browns, 47-42 in an absolute shootout. Kind of surprising because don't get me wrong, both of these teams are very capable of putting up points, but they're also two of the top defenses, two very good defenses. And this is a heck of a game here. We've got to get into this box score over here. Okay, Cleveland and Los Angeles. Justin Herbert for the Chargers, 398 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He also put up 29 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. So Herbert had well over 400 yards combined and 5 touchdowns. Amazing, amazing. Austin Eckler, who I have on a few of my fantasy teams, put up 66 yards rushing and 53 yards receiving. He also put up 3 touchdowns. Mike Williams had a huge game. Mike Williams, wide receiver for the Chargers, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big time. That is big time. And then over on Cleveland, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, it came out just like a week or a week and a half ago that he's playing with at least a partially torn labrum in his shoulder. I think it's his throwing shoulder. I believe it's his throwing shoulder. Could be wrong about that, but still, his the passing game at Cleveland has not been impressive this year, but he had a really good game here against a very good defense that the Chargers have. Baker put up 123 for 32, 305 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But of course, it was really the Cleveland rushing attack, best rushing attack in the NFL. That did most of the damage here. Nick Chubb, my man, Nick Chubb, 161 yards rushing, one touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 61 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And Kareem Hunt also put up 28 yards receiving. And Chubb only put up 9 touchdowns receiving, 9 yards receiving. But Great game again by Chubb and Hunt. What a duo. What a duo. I love that running back duo. I love running backs, and I love a great running back duo like that. But this receiving game, this passing game for Cleveland, they need help. Tight end David Nyaku, was it Njoku? Is that how you say his name? I forgot. Njoku he had a great game, 149 yards, one touchdown. I don't know how many times you're going to see that. We've been waiting for this guy to do something ever since he was drafted the same year as Evan Ingram back in 2017, I think it was, and or 2016. And he had a monster game here, but man, they need wide receivers. Donovan Peoples Jones had a nice game with 70 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know what's going on there. It looks like Odell Beckham does look healthy. He came back from his knee surgery. He's looking good. He only put up 20 yards. Second game in a row where everyone's wondering what's going on, here. And Mayfield did have combined 305 yards passing, but man, they need that connection between Mayfield and Beckham to develop because they really need a number one wide receiver badly. I don't think they could survive on the rushing tack alone, even though they've got a great two-headed monster in Chubb and Hunt. If they want to go, which they're going to go to the playoffs, but if they want to go a long way in the playoffs, they're going to need a number one wide receiver as well. So I don't think they can just rely on the running game and the defense. I think the defense is really good, but it's not like you're talking about the 2000 Ravens or like the 2003 Buccaneers or the 85 Bears, or even like, the Broncos from a few years ago. It's not like you've got like this, I think incredible defense that's just suffocating. It's a very good defense that Cleveland has, but it's not that elite level. So I do think they need a wide receiver, number one wide receiver. They could have one on the roster with Odell Beckham Jr., but I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on. And Cleveland fans, if they're frustrated by that situation, they have every right to be. Every right to be. Okay, so let's move on to this game here. The Cowboys, who are now 4-1, took care of business big time against my Giants, 44-20. For me as a Giants fan, I wasn't surprised by the result at all. Like I said, the Cowboys coming in. I felt since they played the Buccaneers that the Cowboys were legit and they were an elite team in the NFL this year. And I think over the first 4 or 5 games, the Giants proved the exact opposite. And I expected the Giants to come in and play well this year and get to like a 9-8 or 8-9 record by the end of the season. Doesn't look like that's going to be happening, and it's just looking ugly over in the Meadowlands right now. And man, this game was like, wow. I mean, it was like not the score. I mean, but I think everyone pretty much knows Daniel Jones had a concussion. Um, Saquon Barkley, nasty sprain on his ankle. It looked like it was broken. I can't believe it was just sprained. If you saw his ankle's blown up from like normal size ankles like this, like an elephant leg. Holy cow. So I can't believe it's not broken. Apparently it's just a lower sprain. Hopefully he'll be back like in another week or two. I don't know, but thank God it's not a high ankle sprain and thank God it's not broken. So Saquon should be back fairly soon. Galladay also left. I think he basically dropped out at halftime where he has something wrong with his leg, like a hyperextended knee or something like that, or something was hyperextended. And then but there were some storylines here. Kadarius Toney, the arrival of Kadarius Toney. Holy shit. That guy had an incredible game. My God, this guy's got I don't know if I should be comparing him to just how he looks. I'm not saying yet that he's gonna be this good, but man, you saw this guy play. You know exactly what I'm talking about with Kadarius Toney, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Giants fan. I'm not saying this because I'm a homer. You saw with your own two eyes what this guy was doing on the field. Holy cow! I don't know if I should be comparing what he looks like to OBJ or Antonio Brown or Tyreek Hill. I don't know, but man, you know greatness on the NFL field when you see it, and this guy looked fantastic. And if this is not a one-shot deal, this was not just like a flash in the pan one game. Kadarius Toney looked like the real deal. He looked phenomenal. He looked like he was impossible to cover. Now, listen, everyone's going off about the punch. He got thrown out with like 6 minutes left in the game, and I am not going to condone punching someone. And on a football field, wherever, that should never happen. But I also give me a break with everyone. There are a lot of people kind of like going off and off and off on it. give me a break. The guy was thrown to the ground by the Dallas Cowboy at the end of the play. Tony had been wrapped up by like five or six, Cowboys. They were basically holding him up, trying to strip the ball down. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're I had like five or six guys holding him up, trying to strip the ball. And then the whistle blew. And then right after the whistle blew, Dallas Cowboy, tossed him, very hard to the ground. And you still should not. I'm not condoning the punch. Tony then got up and punched the guy, and but I understand it. He's young. He's like 22 years old, maybe even younger than that, and yeah, he got pissed off and he lost his cool and he threw the punch. Shouldn't have done it. It's stupid because you got thrown out of the game. Your team needed you, and the game was pretty much over at that point anyway. Don't get me wrong. It's like the Giants were going to win, but my point is that I thought too much was being made of the punch. He did come out the next day and he apologized. Joe Judge rightfully got on the field and pulled him out before he was even ejected, and you can't do that, but give me a break too with everyone fainting over this too. Give me a break. Give me a break. It was understandable. It wasn't like he went up to like a player on the sideline and clocked him. All right. It was like heat of the battle thing. It was stupid, but give me a break. But I am not letting that for me, I am not letting that take away from his performance. It was phenomenal. Daniel Jones, uh concussion, scary looking concussion. And I'll say this, I love Daniel Jones. I've been defending this guy all along. I do think he's a franchise quarterback. I'll say this though. He needs to learn, and a lot of people were blaming Jason Garrett for the play call. You know what? The play call didn't really bother me. They were like, hey, it was like 3rd and 1, or it was just that it was they were on the Cowboys 1 yard line, and a lot of fans felt like it should have just been punched in by the running back. Okay, I also had no problem with the play call. But like I said, I defend Daniel Jones. I think he's taken so much blame for a team that's been rebuilding from scratch, and people have been expecting him to try, to basically cover up for every single hole in this team when he's trying to develop himself. And he's been in a bad situation over like his first, at least last year was a very bad situation for him with a entirely new coaching staff, no preseason, COVID, stuff like that. But listen, if he's going to run the ball, which I like, I do think they run him too much, but if he's going to run the ball, you got to learn to know when to call it quits. And on that play, you could clearly see that Daniel Jones led with his head. You can't do that. You can't do that. I know you're trying to get the touchdown. You can't lead with your head. You simple man. He could have crippled himself. He could have crippled himself, and that was on Daniel Jones, in my opinion. That wasn't on Jason Garrett. It wasn't on anyone else. Daniel Jones, do not lead with your head. You're actually lucky it was only concussion and that you didn't break your neck. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm dead serious. That was really scary. And kudos to the Dallas Cowboy player. I forgot who it was who, when he saw Daniel Jones get wobbly when he was walking across the field, went over to him to help him. So kudos to you. But anyway, it was a bloodbath for the Giants. It was one of these games that was just like, oh my God, the season had already been in bad shape, and now you lose Jones. For I don't think he's gonna be back this week. Apparently, Jones says he looks good, he feels good, and I think they should give Jones the week off, to be honest, because Daniel Jones is the type of person who will never acknowledge, if he's still concussed, or if he can't run, if his leg is broken. He won't tell you that. He will go out in the field. He will do that, and that's sometimes not a good thing, especially when when you had a concussion. Again, Saquon went down, so it was ugly for the Giants, but Cowboys took care of business. Like I said, the Cowboys, I think, are an elite team. I felt that before even coming to this game. They were up there with the Buccaneers, the Rams. Now the Cardinals are up there too with those guys. One of the elite teams in the entire NFL. And I'll tell you, I don't know, I'm getting closer and closer to thinking that the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC, even better than the Buccaneers. And I think they're better than the Rams. I think the Cowboys are better than the Rams. So yeah, I think it's the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, and kind of like more like the Cardinals as that like dark horse instead of the Rams. The Cardinals coming up as that third Titan, as a dark horse there. So My Cardinals are sexy. And speaking of the Cardinals, what do we got over here? Cardinals, the only undefeated team still, 5-0. Defeated the 2-3 49ers, who were 17-10. Big storyline here. Trey Lance had his first game, and Trey Lance had a pretty good game, man. Trey Lance had a pretty good game. Let's go over to this right here. You find that box score real quick. I'll make this one a quick one because we got to start getting close to wrapping this baby up here. Trey Lance, okay, these aren't the sexiest numbers, but let me point something out here. He had 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Trey Lance, first game as a starter for the 49ers. 1 interception, 0 touchdowns, only 192 yards. He went 15 for 29 on 192 yards passing, but he also put up 89 yards on the ground on 15 carries. He actually led the rushing attack for the 49ers. So Trey Lance had almost a combined, basically had a combined like 280 yards in his rookie performance in his first game as a starter. No touchdowns, 1 interception. That's not bad. That's not bad. But I thought overall Trey Lance had a good game and a good first game. And keep this in mind, Trey Lance didn't play last year college football. I think he played 1 game, then he took the COVID exemption, and it was the year before that where he was a starter and he had a monster year 2 years ago for North Dakota State, and that was his 1 year of eye-popping performance. I think that was his 1 year starting, and um, and so he hasn't played. Like I said, he didn't play last year so forth, and he came from North Dakota State. It wasn't like this guy came from a big program like Alabama. He played at North Dakota State, like a year and a half ago. Didn't play last season, and here he is, just pretty early in the season, getting his first start. And I thought he'd put up a pretty respectable game. I really did. I really did. So, but Cardinals took care of business here, 17-10. Quite game by the offense for the Cardinals, but the Cardinals defense, had a really good game. They've been the Cardinals defense has been like, listen, everyone's focused on the Cardinals offense because you got Kyler Murray, who is a fantastic quarterback. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You also have I'm sorry, my man Rondale Moore, who I absolutely love. They've got Christian Kirk. They also have Max Williams, tight end, who I believe, was a first round pick by the Ravens probably like 5 or 6 years ago, who seemed to be having a rejuvenated career in Arizona this season. But he suffered a leg injury in this game. I believe he's probably out for the season. I believe for the rest of the season, which is unfortunate because Max Williams looked like he was having a chance here to rejuvenate his career. Arizona does need a real running back. I'm sorry, but I'm not really big into Chase Edmonds, to be honest with you. Jason Edmonds didn't have a great game. He only put up 15 yards. James Conner put up a touchdown on the ground, but only 29 yards on the ground. Arizona needs a real running back that will really make them absolutely scary. Right now, they're sexy, but getting a real number 1 running back or a 2-headed monster running back on committee will make them absolutely scary. But Arizona's 5-0. Their defense is really good too. And I want to give a shout out yet again to my man Isaiah Simmons, who I know had a really rough year as a rookie last year. He's having a very good year this year, Isaiah Simmons. Nice bounce back sophomore campaign by young Mr. Isaiah Simmons. But the Arizona Cardinals, I pointed this out in one of the write up I did for this game on Monday. The Arizona Cardinals have a 56-point differential. That right now, that is that they've scored 56 more points than they've let up on defense. That is the second highest in the NFL right now. The only team that's beating them are the Buffalo Bills, who I think their point differential is 100 points. So it's not even close. Arizona's a distant second, but they are second, and that means something to me. The Arizona is clicking on all cylinders right now in terms of offense and defense. I do think Arizona would if there are any running backs out there, if there were any running backs out there, good ones that they could trade for before the trade deadline, Arizona might want to do that. Who knows? Maybe that could be Saquon Barkley. Not that I really want to see that. I love Saquon, but realistically speaking, the Giants might want to think about moving on from Saquon, and Arizona will absolutely know. They will know how to use Saquon Barkley appropriately. Okay, moving on to the Bills and the Chiefs. Wow. Buffalo keeps rolling. They took care of the Chiefs, I think, in Kansas City, 38-20. The game wasn't even, it was never really that close. Buffalo was in control the entire game. Bills are now 4-1. The Chiefs are now 2-3. I think the Chiefs are going to be fine this year. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll be one of the better teams, absolutely be one of the best teams in the AFC. But as of right now, it looks like the AFC is going to be going through Buffalo because they look like hands down the best team. I think the Chargers are a close second. I do think the LA Chargers are a close second to Buffalo, but right now Buffalo's looking like the right now they're looking like the best team. They really are. So they're just rolling, man. Josh Allen's having a monster season again. After a little bit of a slow start, his last two games have been monster-esque. Okay, and the final game for Week 5, Ray, what a game this was. The Ravens, who are now 4-1, defeated the Colts, who are now 1-4. Final score was 31-25. This was basically the Lamar Jackson show. Anyone who doubted Lamar Jackson for whatever stupid reason, whatever stupid points they were making coming into the season, do not doubt anymore. This man is an elite talent. He deserves to be paid up there with Mahomes. Mahomes is a quarterback. This guy can do things that Mahomes can do things that no other quarterback can do, but so can Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson had a really good game in the air. I felt that, people were knocking him for his arm last year. I felt like the guy never really had a receiving core. This is an offense that's based around running, with a really strong running back committee and the running of Lamar Jackson. But I always felt like Lamar Jackson had a good arm, and it's just that he really wasn't given weapons. But hey, this past game, he had a great game running and a great game passing, and Lamar Jackson made it work. I couldn't believe they came back. I mean, I wasn't shocked because I never count the Ravens out. Never count out the Baltimore Ravens and never count out Lamar Jackson. He had an incredible performance. And if I'm Baltimore, man, I'm trying to, I'm getting that second contract lined up for Lamar right now. And I will make him, if not the highest paid, quarterback, uh, then at least the second highest paid because I think Lamar Jackson deserves it. And let's go into that box score real quick because that was something special. That Monday night game has been really good. And I gotta say, NFL season this year, the Thursday night games, the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, they've been really, really enjoyable to watch this year. Maybe one or two lamos, but really most of them have been great. All right, Lamar Jackson, 442 yards passing on 37 for 43, four touchdowns in the air. He also ran for 62 yards. So the man had over 500 yards. Lamar Jackson had over 500 yards and was responsible for four touchdowns passing in the passing game. Mark Andrews, monster game. Great to see him have a bounce back game. The tight end for Baltimore put up 147 yards, two touchdowns. Hollywood Brown, 125 yards, two touchdowns himself. Absolutely phenomenal. Meanwhile, Baltimore's rushing game, the rest of them besides Jackson were horrible. Latavius Murray, 17 yards. Tyson Williams, 6 yards. Devontae Freeman, 1 yard. I've been saying they should play Le'Veon Bell. They have him on the practice squad, but Baltimore doesn't want to listen to me. I think Le'Veon Bell would have a rejuvenated career with Baltimore. I think he'd be a perfect weapon for Baltimore. Hopefully he'll be back. Hopefully he'll be up sooner than later from the practice squad for Baltimore. But Baltimore's rushing attack is not looking very good. And listen, Indianapolis has a very good defense. But still, I would have expected more from Baltimore's running backs than what they put up this week, and that was really disappointing. Hey, listen, on the Indianapolis side, Carson Wentz had a monster game too. 25 for 35, 402 yards passing, two touchdowns, zero interceptions, and he's playing also with not a great receiving core. Jonathan Taylor had a monster game. Jonathan Taylor rushed for 53 yards and had a rushing touchdown. And in the air, Jonathan Taylor had, as a receiver, he had 116 yards receiving. Again, that's 116 yards. And he also had a receiving touchdown. Michael Pittman had a really good game. Michael Pittman had a really nice game, 89 yards receiving and a touchdown. And the ball was spread around to Paris Campbell, Mo Alley Cox, Zach Pascal. They all played their parts here and there, but I'll tell you, Carson could really use a number one wide receiver. I think the Colts, that was a tough loss for the Colts because the Colts are now 1-4, and I really think they're a better team than that. I really think the Colts are better than 1-4. They should have won that game, and they would have been 2-3, and that really makes a big difference. 2-3 is a lot better than 1-4. It's getting, there's still plenty to go in the season, and Indianapolis does not play in a great division, so they could still win that division. But I think Carson Wentz is coming along really nicely for Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor's looking like a monster, but I think they could still use the number one wide receiver. Hopefully, T.Y. Hilton will be back sometime soon, but even when he does, we all know he's not, or at least we'd expect, I would think, at least I'm expecting him not to be the T.Y. Hilton of old. But I would assume that's gone. But still, I would assume he can come and still contribute. But Indianapolis could really, really, really use a true number one wide receiver. But even without that, I think Carson Wentz is getting better and better every week with Indianapolis. I think he's getting more and more comfortable, and he's looking really good. And again, I thought that the trade for Carson Wentz was a good one for Indianapolis. So I thought it was a really good move for them, pairing him, getting him out of Philadelphia, um, giving him a chance, a second chance here for his career to rejuvenate his career, pairing him up with Frank Reich, who was his offensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl in Philadelphia a few years ago. And yeah, Carson Wentz is looking good, man. He's looking good. And he's a gamer. The guy gets too injured too often, but he also plays injured a lot too. He goes out there and he's a gamer. I like Carson Wentz a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. But that was the Lamar Jackson show, man. Lamar Jackson, what an amazing athlete. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, time to move on to Joe's picks for week 6. All right, baby, let's do this. So, all right, I got to do my old share screen. Okay, bear with me for 1 second. I'm a one-man operation here, people. I'm a one-man operation trying to keep costs low. So it's just me. Hang on 1 second. All right, so share screen, share screen, share the window. Bam. Let's go. There we go. Okay, so last week I did okay with the spread. These are my results for week 5. With the spread, I was 9-6-1, and straight up I was 11-5. Year to date, with the spread, I'm 48-31-1. Straight up, I'm 53-27. So good job for old Joey, for Joe knows. Okay, so now coming up are my picks for the upcoming week 6 games. And again, I am gonna be updating these on Sunday, Sunday morning. But as of right now, these are my picks. Okay, Buccaneers at the Eagles, the Thursday night game tomorrow night. Bucks are laying 7 points. I'm actually going to take the Eagles getting the points, and I'm taking the Bucks straight up to win. But I'm taking the Eagles getting the points. It's in Philadelphia. I think the Eagles are going to be up for this game. I think the Buccaneers are kind of like they're not reeling, but they're feeling a little wishy-washy right now. And I think the Eagles are just, they're going to be looking to prove themselves in prime time. And I don't think the Eagles are going to win the game, but I think the Eagles are going to show up and make it a pretty good game. So I'm going to take the Eagles getting the points. Dolphins at the Jaguars. Dolphins are giving 3.5 points. I'm actually taking the Jaguars getting the points, and I'm taking the Jaguars straight up to pull off the upset. I think the Jaguars are due for a win. I do think the Dolphins are a better team. I just think they're kind of reeling right now. I just think they're kind of reeling. And so I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this game, especially since it's in Jacksonville. I feel like they're due for a win. I think the Dolphins are reeling. But one thing to bring up the Jaguars, the Urban Meyer situation, that's just stupid and ugly. He's an idiot. And I'm assuming that's a distraction down there. So, but you know what? I'm going to stick with the Jaguars pulling the upset in this game, and I'm taking the Jaguars getting the points. Packers at the Bears. Packers are giving 4.5 points. I'm taking the Packers giving the points and the Packers straight up. I don't think this game's going to be close, even though it's in Chicago. I think the Packers are rolling. It's a divisional game. Could be a bloodbath. Could be really really tough. But I actually think the Packers are going to take care of business here. As of right now, I do think Justin Fields has a lot of potential. As of right now, he needs to show me that he can really, really do something in an NFL game. This last game, he put up like 111 yards. I mean, and the game before that, he wasn't good at all. I'm not saying Justin Fields can't develop into being a very good quarterback. I think he can. All I'm saying is that you got to show it to me first. And he's going up against the Packers, who I think are going to put up a good amount of points here, even in Chicago. Okay, next, Bengals at the Lions. Bengals are given 3.5 points. I'm taking the Bengals, giving the points to the Bengals straight up. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Lions have been playing everyone tough. The like some of the excellent teams they've been playing. Yeah, Lions might have gotten blown out. The final score might not have been close, but they showed up. They at least showed up in the first half and they kept it close. Um, and the Bengals are a good team and they're coming along really well, but they're certainly not like an excellent team. I think that the Lions are going to keep this, especially it's in Detroit. Uh, the Lions are getting 3.5 points. So I do think the Bengals are going to win. I do think they're going to win by more than 3.5 points, but I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be like a 4 point game, maybe a 7 point game, but I think the Bengals are going to win. They'll win by a little more than 3.5 points. Texans at the Colts. Colts are giving 9.5. Texans had a good game last week against the Patriots. They Let me turn off that ESPN page. Hang on. Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard that, but these ESPN videos keep popping up, so I just closed that ESPN window. Okay, Texans at the Colts. Davis Mills had a really nice game last week against all people, Bill Belichick. That's incredible. That had to have been like the best game by a rookie ever against Bill Belichick, or one of the top three. He put up 3 touchdowns and zero interceptions. But they're going against Indianapolis, who's got a very good defense. It's in Indianapolis. I think the Colts are probably pissed off about losing that game against Baltimore, that they were really they had in hand, up until the fourth quarter or the second half of the fourth quarter, and then the Colts just crapped the bed. The Colts should have won that game. They should have won that game. They had that game in hand, and they should have won. And I think they've got a bad taste in their mouth. I think the Colts are going to take it out on the Texans. Colts are laying 9.5. That's a big spread, but I'm going to take the Colts winning by more than 9.5. So Colts are giving the points. I'm fine with that. And I'm taking the Colts straight up to win. Rams at the Giants. Rams are giving 9.5 points. I'm taking the Rams, even though I'm taking the Rams giving the points. I think they'll win by more than 10, and I'm taking the Rams straight up. If Daniel Jones plays, I wouldn't be shocked the Rams, if the Giants actually covered this spread. I know Saquon's out, but I don't know, something about it. Something about it. If Daniel Jones plays and if he's not feeling any effects from the concussion, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants covered the spread. But I've definitely taken the Rams straight up to win this game. They're absolutely better than the Giants. They're an elite team, and I'll take the Rams giving the points. Chiefs at Washington. Okay, so Chiefs are giving 7 points. I'm taking the Chiefs giving the points and the Chiefs straight up. I think the Chiefs are going to get ready to roll soon. They're going to roll off a bunch of wins. I believe that's going to start in Washington, and I think they'll beat Washington by more than 7. Not that it's necessarily going to be a blowout game, but I think the final score will probably be like a 10-point win for the Chiefs. But I think it'll be a pretty good game throughout. Vikings at the Panthers. Vikings are giving 1 point to the Panthers. I'm going to take the Panthers getting the points and the Panthers straight up. It's in Carolina. I don't understand why the Vikings are giving a point. As far as I know, Darnold is healthy. I know they don't have Christian McCaffrey, but I think Chuba Hubbard is fine as a backup running back. And the Panthers defense, as far as I know, is healthy, and the Panthers defense has been solid, and they're a solid defense. Vikings have a very potent offense, obviously, very good wide receiving core. They've got Dalvin Cook. Uh, they've got a pretty good quarterback. But this game's in Carolina. I'm gonna take the Panthers getting that 1 point and the Panthers straight up. Okay, Chargers at the Ravens. Ooh. All right, Ravens are giving 3 points. It's in Baltimore. I'm going to take the Chargers getting the points and the Chargers straight up in this. I think it'll be a good game, but I have a feeling that I have a feeling the Chargers are. I have a feeling the Chargers are the Ravens. I have a feeling the Ravens are going to have a hard time containing the Chargers offense. I like the Ravens defense, but I think they're going to have a hard time containing the Chargers offense, especially with their cornerback one being out for the season. So I'm actually going to take San Diego in this game, even though it's in Baltimore. I'll take the Chargers getting the points and the Chargers straight up in the upset. Cardinals at the Browns. The Browns are giving 3 points. I'm taking them as of right now. I'm taking the Cardinals getting those points. The game's in Cleveland, but I'm taking the Cardinals getting the points and the Cardinals straight up to win. I might change this Sunday morning. I'm kind of on the fence with this. As of Sunday morning, I could easily change it to um, the Browns winning straight up. Um, it's in Cleveland. I'm very curious to see how the Cardinals, their defense has been very good, and I was touting it earlier. I'm very curious to see how the Cardinals can deal with that Cleveland Browns running attack. And if Cleveland's got that running attack going, like they should, no one's really been able to stop them so far. They'll be able to keep the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands. So um, I might change it, but as of right now, I'm going with the Cardinals getting the 3 points and the Cardinals straight up to get the upset in Cleveland. Raiders at the Broncos. Broncos are giving 3.5 points. Taking the Raiders getting the points. I'll take the Broncos straight up to win in Denver, but I'm going to take the Raiders getting the points. Cowboys at the Patriots. Cowboys are giving 3.5 points. I can't believe the Cowboys are only giving 3.5 points. I know the game's in New England, but I'm taking the Cowboys giving the points and the Cowboys straight up. I don't think that game's going to be close at all. Seahawks at Steelers. Steelers are giving 5 points. Russell Wilson's out. I'm taking the Steelers giving the points and the Steelers straight up. It's in Pittsburgh and Russell Wilson's out. Geno West is playing for the Seahawks. Don't be shocked if Geno West has a pretty good game. Don't be shocked. He actually came and he filled in pretty admirably, pretty actually very well for Russell Wilson last week. Wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. The Seahawks were going up against a better team in the Rams, but Geno West had a very good game against the Rams last week, and pretty good game. And I wouldn't be shocked if he comes in, especially with that wide receiving core of DJ Metcalf and Lockett. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and pulls a little bit of an upset here. Like I said, I'm kind of like off the Steelers train now, and I know they had a good win last week, but um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not buying into the Steelers anymore. But as of right now, I'm taking the Steelers, giving the points and the Steelers straight up. And finally, Bills at the Titans. It's Bills giving 5.5 points. I'm taking the Bills giving the points and the Bills straight up. I don't think this game is going to be close at all. The Titans do not look good. Their defense is horrible. AJ Brown has been looking horrible. Tannehill's been looking. Listen, Tannehill doesn't have a receiving core right now. AJ Brown's been like injured or playing injured the entire year. He has not looked good. Julio Jones, I think, is still out. He's got Derrick Henry, and that's pretty much it. So I don't think this game's gonna be close. I'm surprised. It's in Tennessee, but I'm surprised that Buffalo is only giving 5.5 points. I am definitely taking the Bills giving the points and the Bills straight up. I don't think that game's gonna be close at all. I do not. No. So anyway, those are my picks as of right now. Like I said, Sunday morning when I do Cup of Joe, check it out. Cup of Joe, I do the Sunday morning show. I do a review of the NCAA football games from that Saturday, and then I do an updated preview of the NFL games coming up for that Sunday and Monday. So anyway, before I go real quick, everyone, after this show is supposed to be Dollars to Deuces. Just want to remind you, if it's not on tonight, then it'll be on probably, then it'll be on tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. And let's see. Don't forget. Just want to go over the schedule real quick. Okay, so this is our we have 8 shows in season right now for here at Toilets to Titles. Monday night we've got the Waiver Wire, which is our Waiver Wire show, which is for Patreon members only. Tuesday night, it's 8 p.m. Toilets to Titles, which is our flagship program. Wednesday at 9 p.m. Joe Knows NFL Review Preview, which you're watching right now. And usually, like I said, following the show at 10 o'clock is Dollars to Deuces, which is our weekly betting advice. But again, that might not be tonight. It might be tomorrow morning that they're going to do the show. And Thursday at 8 p.m. is a dash of DFS. Saturday at 7:30 p.m. is our Down Under Dynasty crew. It's our crew from Australia giving fantasy advice, and especially Dynasty fantasy football advice. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. They're really smart guys. A lot of fun too. I love those guys. I love our crew down in Australia. They do a great job. And before you go, Twitter handles for me and all my colleagues down here, all of us from Toilets and Titles. Please follow all of us. We're a great crew, and we're always working to bring you really good content. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, and give us that 5-star Apple review because we deserve it. Anyway, guys, that's a wrap for this show. I'll see you Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Cup of Joe. Bring your coffee. I drink coffee all times of the day. I'm a nice coffee man myself. Pumpkin spice. I love it. Baby cakes. But bring your coffee or tea or whatever you want to drink. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be reviewing the college games from Saturday, and then I'll be doing an updated preview of the NFL games for Sunday and Monday. Anyway, I'm out of here, everyone. Have a great night. I'll see you Sunday morning. Take care. Peace. Love you all. And go Giants.